terms of, I feel like I'm just kind of like getting in cruise control. So
Yes.
it's just like too almost robotic now. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, get them in the program, this, and I'm trying to avoid like getting stuck in like the process for the board and trained dogs. Because a lot of them, I feel like I'm running out of like, shit, what else can I do?
Yep.
You know,
I know.
I've done this, because I keep it like stupidly practical. You know, like after I learn who the owners are and like what they want improved, that's like what I'm focusing on. You know, if it's like, I want to be able to do like off-leash shield, this and that, okay, cool, like that's what I'm working on. Or it's like reactivity, and like my dog goes crazy when the doorbell rings, so I'm just like hammering that in. So I like to keep it simple, but oftentimes I'm like, okay, well, it's end of week. It's like a week and a half in, you have another week and a half, and I already feel like you're ready to go. Now what?
Yeah.
So I'm curious what your daily and weekly breakdown is of like your average 2-weeker and like your average 4 or 5-weeker.
Okay. Yeah, these are great questions, man. And I'm still playing with the way that we do this, but we did make changes this year. So I went out to Sean's, and I'm familiar with Cam. I don't know exactly how she's doing. I think she's doing like 3 weeks on and 1 week off. I can't remember what she was doing. She had a really interesting way of doing things. And then Sean, as far as her work schedule, 3 weeks on and 1 week off, I thought was interesting. So she'd do like a batch of dogs and then take a week off and then do a batch of dogs and take a week off. And I think that was cool, right? It's hard to schedule it unless you know you're going to do that and you're committed to it. And anyway, a week off is a lot for some people. So anyway, so Sean, the 90-minute sessions, when I went out there, what he was doing, which I liked about it, was he was mixing it he was doing active reps and then just passive rest, you know, and with that, they do the distraction, so they would, you're right, and then, but the one thing is that I added to it. I do similar sessions like that when a dog's a certain way, but I would like to add a little bit more of an organic experience for the proofing, you know? When we get to a certain spot, we'll work on specifically people coming through the door and stuff like that, allowing the dog to make the mistake in that context. Before you get too far along in the training, that's important, and we'll talk about that. So the way I look at it when I work with a dog, I'm not really looking at time, but it probably does, if somebody was to take count of my sessions, it probably looks like this. More time in the beginning, the first week, I spend a lot of time with them because you need them to get to the point where you can live with them without them driving you nuts. And it's usually one really good experience a day, like I need to nudge them in the right direction, right? So day one, if it's an average dog, for me, which are generally the same types of dogs you get, they're a little bit more difficult, but the easier of the more difficult. They're gonna be getting recall, introduction with tone, and they're gonna learn how to follow me. You know that's what I do. And so I really break it down to getting the dog to know to stay, and then getting the dog to know to come to me. And what sounds are those? And then what sound do I need to tell you I don't like something, and then show them how I do the social pressure. And basically, if a dog's going to throw any attitude at me, that's when I'll do the whole stepping into that, adjusting the attitude, and whatever that turns into on day one. And then we go down to the kennel room, and they learn how to be in the kennel and what the rules of the kennel are, and I allow them to step out, and they get the corrections. This whole process I do that, and now I know they're good for the rest of the day. So they're good for the rest of the day, and then the potty breaks are training sessions in the first week. I do all of the potty sessions for the new dogs, so it's like it's heavy workload. Because I need to threshold every time. These are where I get my reps in, and I do it in a reality setting. And the better the dog does, the less reps we do. And so the more reps that we do, especially with your style training, if it's, and I think because it's similar to mine, we let them know. We teach by teaching them what not to do, so that there's correction. So we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of the potty breaks and letting them know that it's only happening. It makes sense to them. It's only happening because you're not sitting for the door and stuff like this. And then next thing you know, the dog's doing it right in the next couple of days. And the dog understands the pattern to escape essentially going through a training session. So the first few days, we're only really doing reps if the dog's struggling with something. And that's how I'll do it. I'll spend time with each dog. That's how I look at it. I'm going to go down and spend time with 3 dogs today, and each one's going to get my time. And the more they're struggling, the more time they're going to get from me. And so they do, if I do a 90-minute session or a 100-minute session, it's because we're actively out working on that recall. We're in a situation together. I've built an experience for us to work through to leverage these common things of stay, recall, attitude, and I'm really just getting the dog's mind for a whole week. And Julie just is documenting this for the first time. We're doing a 3-week program. In the first week, I didn't teach any commands, but formally, I didn't. I just did some real basic stay with the hand and the gesture and all that, and the e-collar backing me up, and the recall being the tone, and the mindset of being a follower for a whole week. And then I started tagging on because the dog, I'm learning how to have conversations, the same ones I used to use the commands to have without having the commands to have them. I'm learning to have the same conversations so I don't even have to worry if a dog's making a mistake on a command or anything like that. And then what ends up happening, and this is something I'm still learning as we go, and this is how I do it, man. Once the dog is over the hump with the attitude, I tag on the commands, I work my butt off that next week, it's week 2, I make sure they're starting to learn. You know, I'm doing the reps, I'm doing that stuff. I'm teaching the off-leash stuff. Once I'm into week 3, the dog's ready to go home. After the second week, it's ready to go home. But now I broke that into week 3, that's when they do all their outings. So I prep them the first week with attitude, relationship between me and them and the world that they live in, which is very small, which is my house, my yard. We get this perfect. You're acclimated to my pack, you're behaving the right way, I got you on the e-collar the way I need to. Week 2, we're still staying here, but you're learning more specifically about the command training, which I know you're a pro at by now because you do it over and over and over again. That's what I'm doing in that week 2 phase. And then week 3, I'm getting them off property and showing them how to take rides and all that. So I'm taking, they start their life small and we grow it, and then they do the same thing back home. So when they go home, they start small, and now we're having them start small and grow gradually. And with our assistance, if the dog is tough, to let them know how to go to the next stage. And to build this little life with them. And so that's how I'm looking at it now. As far as the session goes, man, if you watch the way I work, I have an idea of what they need to look like at the end of week 1. I know they need to understand the basic language of me pointing to an object and you getting on it. You need to understand that this means to stay, this means to down, all that stuff that I'm doing, which you probably do with a leash or whatever. With the e-collar, all that is the foundation. I'm even starting to get them to do the go away, because I'm finding that to be very useful. Like, you can yo-yo a dog. Dude, it does something to the mind. And if an owner can say, get the hell out of this situation, if you can put that context to it, and the way that the association to the stim of the collar, I'm really focusing on that on the first and the foundation. How do they feel in the situation with the stim? And you can do so much with pointing a finger because the dog, or using a leash, because the dog understands you're saying to get on the bed. And you don't have to worry about the command, and then later on it becomes easy, and this go away thing ends up turning into send to place, and the recall ends up turning into heel, and it's just beautiful process that and you know why? Because I stopped worrying about time. I said when I spend time with them, I'm just going to see where I go until I feel like it's done. After a while, bro, you'll have Dane's way of doing it, and it'll just be your thing, and it'll evolve for a while, years probably. But you'll know.
Yeah, I'm already identifying that because the last 6 months that's been my mindset, because the first couple days I got super panicky, like, oh God, this dog is like, I wasn't expecting this, and time isn't on my side, so I'd start to panic.
Oh, I know, it's the worst.
But now I've acknowledged and realized, oh no, like I can actually take my time with this. Like, even if it's not perfect, this one, like, I'll build off this momentum tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep, that's what you learn to do. You learn to see, so Julie just brought this point up. She still does training here now and then, and she says, I don't know when to stop the session. Like, so I'll go, she says, my videos will go on for 60 minutes because I don't know when to stop training. And she sees me sometimes, and if I allow myself to just go into the zone and just be with the dog, it's like a farm. I'm just here with these dogs, dude. It's insane, right? And so I'll take a dog out, have an experience, and be like, and it could be 10 minutes, and they're good for a few hours. And I planned to do a full session, but hey, this is where we talked about this little thing. They got it in their brain. It could have been a little bit of a memorable moment. I want them to soak on that. So just go back to the kennel. And so I'm setting it up so that people respect, our clients respect that we're doctors, kind of, and it takes the time it takes. You know, and then once people are on board with that, you can go, oh, okay, they want me to do my best, and in order to do that, I just need to be there for the animals. You got to remember, we're with animals. It is a farm. You know, isn't that great? So it's like, it's amazing. So that's how the sessions go. But they end up having a flow, and it's easiest to break it down by week. Where's the dog? It seems pretty. Every dog has a shift between like day 5 and like day 8. You know, there's a shift in mentality, and then they go into week 2. And even dogs who shift early and dogs who shift late, by the end of week 2, they're together in our program and they're doing the same stuff. You know, so it's that creating the follow, creating the language, tightening it up in week 2, get all that fancy stuff that everybody wants, and then week 3, exposing them to the world and sending them home.
Okay. Yeah, that all makes a ton of sense. All right, the next one was the reality of dogs not displaying like household reactivity here that they do at home.
Yes.
So like I have a dog in right now, always growls, always barks, and like freaks out when someone rings the doorbell, knocks on the door, comes in the house. I'm like, cool, like this will be easy. Set it up. You know, like, okay, my partner Corey, like, go outside, you know, or like when you come home from your walk, like, knock on the door, come in, like, scream, like, whatever. Like, you know, just set it up. So
you're trying to, exactly.
This dog, like, well, the first time we did it, he, like, looked, and I was like, yeah, okay, and didn't do anything. I was like, oh, fuck. So, I was like, okay, well, maybe it was just, like, the first time he didn't know how to respond. This is something, you know, in terms of, like, my 90, 100-minute sessions, I've always got, like, my front door open. So if I have, like, the UPS person come, the FedEx, like, I'm incorporating, like, those real-world things. There's just some dogs that don't do it here. So I made a post about this, and I messaged the owner. I was like, please watch this because it's important. But, like, the reality of relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
you got it.
I might not see the bad stuff you do because I'm not you. It's just like, I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just like you have years and years of stuff, intention, and toxicity or whatever built up that my relationship with this dog is not going to have. So having that conversation and explaining it to them is easy because most people understand, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, I get the relationship thing. But when they're like, well, what if they don't do it at your house? What then? Because I have some people like, oh yeah, like, we just had someone over, he was like kind of growly and this and that, so I'll explain and we'll walk through it. But I guess if you were to get that call, like if you had a dog that was like doorbell reactive or someone comes in the house reactive, they don't do it with you, the dog goes home after the program and the owner's like, oh, they just tried to do that. How does that conversation look?
I know this is common, and the more, and it seems like the more difficult the dog is, you have to have a more confident owner. So you're going to run into, the more difficult dogs you take in, the more you're going to run into that problem. Okay? And then the person's just not where they need to be. Let's just call it competency. It's just to control this animal, the competency level might be low. Why? Or whatever, or what? But we're not going to go there. I'm going to stick on I am going there, but I'm going to stick on the relationship thing because that's what it comes down to. We have the environment. For the dog, it's all about two things. It's the environment they're in and the relationship with the living things around them. That's how they organize their behaviors. All right. So basically, they get to your place, dude. The dog's not dumb. The dog knows. He just, first of all, not even you grabbing the leash, just sniffing you. He's already like, this guy is a top predator, right? He's up there. Like, just because it's in you, like you know, it's not your. How many dogs have you had strike at you and come at you, and you've prevailed, and you know how to deal with them? So you walk in with a certain confidence. That all is being picked up. All being picked up. So I'm going to tell you in a short, real quick, what I think the answer is. That the lens that you need to look through. For me, what works for me is pack hierarchy, man. I incorporate this into my training, and I teach people about the pack hierarchy and what the leader gets as far as like leverage in the pack. And that sounds like the stuff that they want, and this is how you get it, and this is how you send the message to your dog's brain. That's what you're looking. What exercises can they do so that it gets them to see them as leader? hands down, because that's what it's going to come down to. At home, the dog's going to react. We expect it to. It's going to. It's back in the environment just alone. Even if you have the couple that has started to shift the relationship and you're like, man, these people got it, the dog gets it, you see it, but they go home and the dog is going to more than likely at least make one error because of the environment. All right? These people are fine. They're going to shut it down and the dog's going to believe them and move on. You won't hear from them. Okay? The people you're going to hear from are the people who haven't quite learned about how to shift the hierarchy. They're not getting there. They're still thinking training too much. They're not thinking dog to human hierarchy and how to get it and how all this stuff. So what ends up happening is they go home, they do what you say, they correct for the environmental stuff, but the dog looks at them and still has this toxic relationship with them. So they can't break it through. They can't bring the dog to calmness. And the thing is there is a way, there is a ritual to get a dog to see you as leader that these people can do. Are they ready up here? That's where we focus, because I'm not going to put time into people like that if they're not ready. I'm going to treat them as casual clients. That's what we call them here. They come through the door sometimes like, ooh, this one's a casual client. So we modify everything, we simple it down, they're happy, we find out what they want, what their needs are, how they're going to use it. We do it all the time. For certain dogs, it's like, okay, for this dog, he's a lap dog. This dog's going to need this, this, and this. We focus on this. We don't even harp on them because the dog's not dangerous, right?
Yeah.
But with the other people, it's all about relationship. And week one in my training program, obviously, if you really think about it, it's really my relationship with them. I represent humans. That's how I look at it. This is how you should be looking at us, taking direction from us, treating us, and this is what we're capable of. You know, and that's how I'm looking at it, because it is a species barrier. And listen to this, Dan, they get taken from their packs at 8 weeks typically, okay? So they don't get disciplined within a hierarchy of a pack. They're too young. They get taken away and they're given with a different species who also doesn't apply it. And now there's mixed communication plus lack of structure. The people think it's a toy. This thing is a predator who's confused and has a lot of energy and doesn't know what to do. And it just becomes a mess. That's what happens. So when part of the program to get over this, it has to be about their relationship. Yeah. They have to be ready to shift that. If not, this is what you do. You let them know. Listen. If everybody else in the world is getting pulled over and getting tickets and getting fined for speeding, but you are the only one who only gets warnings, and for some reason you just never get, the people who never get the actual consequence who only get the warnings, they keep on speeding. That's how the world goes round. So if you can't step up and be a believable state trooper in that moment and put a little bit of fear in the dogs, in the predator who is in your living room's eyes at will, through your eyes to his, because what it's all about is this. Dan, I'm learning this, man. I know that you've noticed when you hit a dog at a low number and they are reading you because you're a dog trainer, you know how to talk to them. They look at your eyes and they feel your energy, and that's how you give the association to that stim. You say the correction, but then they come to you and they look you in the eyes. Whatever you're projecting in that moment, that's the social pressure. That's the association to it. I teach my clients how to do that if they have a difficult dog and they need to. If they want that extra level of control, they need to do the social. They need to learn how to do it. And there's exercises to do it that we can put them through. But if their mind's not ready and they're going home and they're still whining, we tell them, you know, we'll come out to your house. And we will, once. And we go out and we don't see it. So that's where we have the conversation I'm having with you. This is exactly what I tell them. Why isn't your dog doing it right now? Let them answer it, because you're here. Okay, what makes me different? I put him in his place a lot firmer, right? So now it's your turn. And they have to be very strict with this dog as far as what it's allowed to do. And we start with the kennel. The dog goes home, welcome home, kennel. This is new for us and it's been working. That is where your dog lives until your dog masters not being a fuss in the kennel. He can go out with structure to use the bathroom, and then it's back to the kennel. Until that's not a problem, and if that takes you an hour, cool, move on. If that takes you a week, then you can move on in a week. The dog's no longer a fuss in the kennel. You open up his world a little bit. I'm going to teach you now you can go out on the place too, which is a mat in the living area. Now your dog has the kennel and place and the potty, and this is your life for the dog. We master this and everything that is incorporated with place. Don't even think about walking your dog. Don't think about it. You're not ready for it. Okay? You master place, you master people coming over, the potty, structure around the house. Okay, let's pick a little walk around your block. I mean, we're not getting in a car, you're stepping out your door and doing whatever you have. And we're perfecting that little walk. Okay, this might be 3 weeks being home. Now what you have is a little life. You have a backyard, you can recall them, get them back in, you can play with them. You have good kennel behavior, good place behavior, and a little walk. You want to take it further? Let's work on getting in the car and going somewhere. You see what I mean? You're going to open up the world slowly. If the person starts doing it too fast, which they will if they're not the right client, then you tell them this, what I'm telling you, this is the process, and they know what they're doing wrong, and guess what? You don't hear from them. Because they're happy enough. They're like, okay, well, at least I can touch a button and get them back to me and kind of shoo them away. And like, they're happy enough. It's not your training, dude. The only thing it is like how to get the humans to see it. And I'm working, so it can be the death of us. Because we strive so hard to teach other humans. We're teaching dogs and we're trying to teach the humans. Like the dogs are doing great.
Yeah.
I find it's a mentality thing. The way they look at a dog, they don't see it as a predator. They see it as a fluffy little Disney character.
Yeah.
And that's where the problems stem.
Yeah, I just had a text the other day. It was like a human reactive dog. I think it's maybe been one or two people. But it was very like, you're moving too fast.
Yeah.
It was about like someone came in, he was out of place, a little growly, until I let them go up, sniff the person, and he was fine. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
There should be zero interactions right now.
Yeah.
It's been, 3 months since you've brought your dog home?
Yeah.
Nope. Like clearly, there's all these little.
This is an aggressive case.
Yeah, I would say aggressive. Yeah.
Listen, there's something that's missing in our board and train that we're trying to. Well, I should say that when we need it, we go out of our way. We go to the people's houses and stuff. But what I'm realizing is this whole. Once you sent them home, let's call it the gun to the head stuff, okay? Like, here's the lifestyle. The dog will do everything it said because of the gun to the head, and it's no fuss, and we got that. So it can be alive, okay? Everybody's good, they got it. Now this is what happens. They're humans, they can't help it. They want more. They want more. And now listen, some dogs, a small percentage of dogs, they're not getting more. And you just say, that's not, you can't, I know you as an animal, and I know the dog is an animal, you can't have more without it being a big liability. Those are small amount of people. They want to keep the dog alive. They live with their little life, and they're happy. The others, they want to progress. So I've been starting to teach them, and teach basically Julie how to teach them, how to start weaning off. Like how to start, and what we're calling it is like we're trying to teach people how to identify when their dogs got good judgment or bad judgment. Like, was that stupid, or was that all right? Does that need to, you know what I mean? Like, we need to teach people. Unfortunately, Dane, we need to teach people. And I mean, that's the thing. It's hard, but we have to teach them how to read a dog better and all this. And how do we do this if we're so focused? We don't have the resources, man, as the doctors that we are. The things that we're able to do with a dog is incredible. The way that we're able to help them and help owners. And you should be, and I know we're all fighting to be better and we're trying to be the best we can be, but we're doing some incredible stuff. Nobody knows about it. Nobody in the government doesn't know about it. They don't have no interest in this right now. We're doing this all on our own. So it's not like we have help. And we're trying to help America, the public, man. It's a heavy load. And you're doing it one house at a time, and you're realizing everybody's stuck in the same frame of mind, dude. Everybody's stuck. So if you want to solve that, if you solve that problem, by the way, let me know how you did. Because I can't solve it. I can only get people to break. I can get certain people. I can make that change in their mind. And dude, it's a beautiful thing when you see a person change like that. They never go back. And so that's the part of the job. If you want to be great at getting that relationship to change, they have to see the dog the same way you do. And that's hard to do, man. But
yeah, those people are rare, I think.
They're rare.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm headed, dude. That's where I'm headed because this casual stuff is frustrating.
Yep.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. It's I've really in the last year or so been very black and white about okay, this is probably something you'll always struggle with, or this is just this is how your dog sees you. I mean, you can't, kind of like what you said, you can't get to the next step because might not be a next step. Like this is just
Wait for this. Listen to this shit though. Seriously though, animal to animal temperaments. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You just sit that down, this animal and this animal, you say, let's take a temperament test. Okay? Wow, this dog is a top predator who is dominant. Look at him. He's very capable of killing things, and he's got a dominant, confident personality. Or maybe he's a sketchball who's willing to freak and bite, right? Whatever one, now we're matching it with a human who has a temperament, who is very passive, who is not, their temperament doesn't, the disposition is not assertive at all. It's the opposite. Because they went to get a dog, not to be assertive, to fill an emotional void. So they're not going at it saying, I need to go make sure I'm jogging, getting my mind right, learning things about behavior. No, they're coming from an emotional standpoint. It's usually people who are emotionally suffering to some degree or lacking some type of something in their life. This is what we do. It's what I do. Dogs offer this to us. But they get the dog and they get a predator who is not a good mix for their particular lifestyle and temperament as an animal. Because if that animal goes to somebody like me, and I'm just an animal, and pops in front of me, I don't struggle with it as much. We have a couple bouts and it's over. It's fair to the dog if it's placed with somebody who can handle it. If it's not, it can be the end of the dog. Or, you know what happens? They hang on to it, but they don't do it right. They're trying to avoid shit, and someone gets bit in the face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's not a system. I'm letting people know now. It's not necessarily your fault, folks. People who are giving you these dogs don't do the proper temperament test. They don't push the dog properly. I'm seeing people get bit in the face regularly, dude. From adopting a dog just months ago, now my face has plastic surgery. Because nobody told me about this dog's past. Nobody did a proper temperament test. And more importantly, they didn't temperament test me to see if I could handle this dog. And this is what's happening. So there's misplacements. We have these predators with people who can't handle them. And you're struggling because people are not going to endorse saying, I hear what you're doing is working. And it is working, but we can't take all of you. And if you start listening to the message, it's actually the way you view them. And it's the way we're purchasing them that's the problem. Now you're just doing your best, because this is what you have as an animal, and you fell in love with it because you were going to fall in love with any furry thing they gave you. That's not fair. And they gave you one that's willing to bite. And that's not good. So now we need to, but you know what? You didn't have to get that one. If there was some process that you have to go through, when you get a dog, you only get a dog that you can handle.
Yeah.
People are getting fucked up. Kids are getting fucked up. Dogs are dying. And this doesn't seem to be even a focus to anybody. That we should be temperamenting testing, and we should see, because it matters animal to animal. Look at the way I walk and you walk with dogs versus the other people, right? Some people, and they got Rotties that they can't control. So you've got a client who's like, I can't control this without the gun to the head. And when can I take the gun away?
Yeah.
Oh, when you change fundamentally as a animal, maybe.
Yeah. That's obviously a very real limitation that a lot of these people have. Let's see. I think that provides some clarity, so that I think that makes sense. I mean,
not an answer, but
it makes sense. Really, I'm saying, like, when the dog gets home, get your routine nailed. Like, start small, this and that, kind of like what you just said, and then just role play. Like, knock on the frickin' door, ring the doorbell, correct them, just set it up, so that when it happens in the real world, you're gonna be prepared.
That's right. And you know what? They don't move on to the real world until they literally cannot get the dog to mess up. You can't get them to mess up? Now let's add a real one. And let's do it so we can. The game is, let's continue to do this and have a party with all of our friends until the dog won't fuck up. And let's see if we can get it to fuck up. That's the game. We're not tiptoeing around getting it to fuck up. Let's see how many times we can to get it so it doesn't happen tomorrow, guys. And that's how I talk to my clients, and they know. Dude, so I feel your stress. If they don't do it, they won't get it. And that's not your... You can't carry that on to the next sporting trend. Otherwise, you'll be like me, and you'll be piled behind all this stuff you're trying to fix. So,
I feel that stress all the time. Just because it's just me, just like trying to get all this shit done. But anyways, the next thing was, and I know we've talked a ton about this, but long-lasting reactivity improvement. So, I just see your before and afters, and they're so, it just looks like such a dramatic before and after. So you've got, this chaotic dog, and then, hey, checking in, and then I'll, look at another post of yours, and the dog is just, zoned in.
Yep.
Just,
that's my specialty.
Crazy to, zoned in. I still feel like when I'm working with that intensive case, the dog is still almost on the verge of losing it, but keeping it together. But it's not that clear. I was going, I get it. I'm like a totally different animal.
Yep.
I just had one of these dogs, like he was like crazy reactive, and it was all from like just overexcitement, like not an aggressive bone in his body, just like a total nut. And like I did kind of like my two-step approach. I corrected like the intent, and then I also like let him make the mistake. Like, okay, cool. Like you love to go after dogs, be my guest. So I did that approach. Slip lead, e-collar, hung him up,
yep.
like all that. But I just feel like it's not sinking and resonating like for a full. I feel like after like 2 weeks, it's like, fuck, I think I have to do that exercise again.
Let me explain something that I've been doing, the way I've been looking at it. I think it's going to help you. So to get a dog to what I'm calling what you're looking at, what you're saying, the transition is the dog becoming a dedicated follower, 100%. I'm his guy. Now he's like, I'm going to listen to you. That is what I think is the most interesting thing for me as a trainer, and the thing that I've always been interested in. That's the thing that's my bread and butter. That's my thing above all of the things I do. So that's where I focus. And what I have noticed is sometimes you do get a dog to give that to you very quick. And those are the ones that give it to you really quick. Other dogs, like you said, extreme cases, I've noticed that it's an accumulation of experiences within the first couple of days, usually within the first 4 days. And it's like, so I'm thinking of it, the dog's in the box, it's in the kennel, okay? It comes out, it has an experience, it goes back in, right? Hours pass, it comes out, it has an experience, it goes back in. I'm in control of that. I'm in control of the experience it has if I'm good at what I do, right? Hopefully I have enough control of the outcome of every decision he makes, gearing him towards following me, the mentality. Because I understand as a pack animal, I can. But why do dogs pack up? It's for survival. So they have to have experiences. Some of these dramatic cases, they need to have an experience of near death for them to say, okay.
Yep.
And now how you set this experience up, it's all in their head. Do you want to be a part of it, or do you want them to believe it was you blindly running into the environment that caused it and I'm a safe spot? Where are we going first? Am I getting you to trust me first and then slowly tapping into respect? Because I do that. Or am I going straight in and I know that you're just a bluffer, and am I slamming that shit right now and then building you up? Which one am I going for? Am I going for respect heavy right now and then trust later? Or am I going for a little bit of trust where these consequences are happening to you, you don't understand exactly why? There is a system in place. There are rules that are consistent. You're running into them right now. You don't know what's going on. I'm here to help. And the way they see me is like, I'll take you now. Because at first they don't care about me. I don't care about you. Let me out that door. Okay, I'll let you out the door. They hit the end of the long line. Big old correction. I'm not holding back. But I will tell you this first. This is what I do first. This is the secret. This is what the shadow students see. Before I go and do that big one, I know you already know what I do. I know I let them go, and then I tag them on the e-collar, and they come running back, and they're like, I love you, right?
Yeah.
Before that, they've had multiple experiences just minutes prior of beep coming to me. So we have two doors. We have the door going out to the yard, and then the door going out. So the first one, I'm teaching them the beep to come back to me, beep to come back to me. We go through whatever we go through. And then once they get it, I'm celebrating it because I'm not using social influence over them. I'm just a dumb human. I do acting, like I call it playing character. You'll hear me talk and I sound like just an average Joe because I want them to just see it's the e-collar with the human. And so beep needs to come to me. They get that within a few minutes. I know you can accomplish that. And so they do that, and then I just open up the door to the outside world and I give them an ultimatum. And they go, and they run, and I don't do anything until I see them say, see ya, in their mind. They're committed to leaving. Then I go beep, which I know you just heard that a few times. You have something to go off from. Big one, big correction, dial down immediately, beep, 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 beep. If they're coming towards me, I'm just going to beep until they get into the gate and to me and stop. Maybe if there's any corrections, it's all low, mild, barely touching them, because they've already had the correction. They get back to you, it's how you doing. But you don't have to go crazy. Let them come into you and just chill out. Just chill out. Chill out. No, nothing. No expectation. Just petting them. They're going to be whining. Whatever. Chill out. And then, hey, what happened? Do you want to go out? You want to go out the door? They say, I'm hesitant. And I say, okay, cool. Now they're looking at you to say, how do things work around here? And that's the entrance to the relationship.
Sure.
So I set it all up, man, and then to that moment, I set the whole fucking thing up for that moment, and in that moment, my work was done. And then from there, now I have that. I'm gonna look at you because I know there's potential stuff out there. Heal and all that stuff. They're looking at me because it's been successful. If I follow what he's doing, I'm not getting these corrections. And I made them believe that. Do you see what I mean? So there's a lot of that stuff, dude. And that is the fun part of this.
Yeah, yeah. Is that first, once they like kind of gets clear they're checking out, is that momentary high?
Yeah, it's like a tap usually, or maybe I'll just choose just a second. I want the dog to know. I want the dog to really not enjoy it. Yeah, you know, and I wanted to. So another thing is another thing that they're getting some pre-training, whether they know it or not, is that when they go on the leash, I will tighten it, and then I'll give an e-collar tap and pop them. So they're learning like it's all one. All that happens on our way to this experience, and depending on where you are and how you do it. You don't have to do it that way with the recall. You can use another experience, but the recall works really good for me because they want to leave. A lot of these dogs want to leave, so you change their mind. And dude, while we're on this is what it's all about. Kennel behaviors where a dog is escaping out of a kennel, and you can't solve it. And all these books say it takes years. This is what it takes. The dog wants to get out of the kennel. That's your problem. If the dog decides he doesn't want to get out of the kennel, there is no problem. And once you can do that, you can figure out how to do that with an e-collar, the kennel anxiety that's been there for years will go away. Because simply the dog does no longer desire to be out of the kennel.
Yeah.
And it can happen in a session or two.
Yeah, I noticed you guys don't have any like high anxiety crates or anything. You just have all wire crates.
Not anymore. We do have a monkey crate though that we have that's way in the corner. It's like the only dog that's in it is Izzy, but it's basically Julie got it for $100. It's an old monkey cage. It really is for a monkey, and it's these thick bars, and you're not gonna get out of it. You're not gonna get out of that. But for the most part, we got this one metal crate that looks like every other crate, but it's just an old school metal crate back when they used to make it, and it's zip tied around all the edges, and that's the one we put those dogs in. It's bigger, but we teach them all the lessons about the kennel the first couple of days. It's a lot of work. It's overnight work, you know that. But once we get them, these extreme cases, it can take a week for some of them.
Yeah.
But then it happens, dude, and it's all the way the dog believes, their belief system. It's what they believe is true, and once you tap into that, I think that's the closest thing to rehab, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And so the dog now wants to work with you when it feels high pressure because it knows that's how it gets it to stop happening. Because also what I do early on is I'm not giving you, the only thing I'm punishing, is you either fighting back or not trying. So if I say, hey, try something, and you're like, I don't want to try something, that gets punished. Or if I say, hey, try something, and you just sit there with a dumbfounded face, that will get punished, but lightly.
Yeah, effort.
Give me something, and then I'll start telling you what's right and what's wrong, and we'll get there in like 5 minutes. Because I'm only telling you to sit, or you know what I mean? And so the dog learns, more importantly, the command, it learns how to take direction from a human. Period. And that this stim has something to do with it, so pay attention. And that is the shit. That's why people are shadowing here, dude, is because that part, that I can't capture it all on video because it would be ridiculous, but we do a lot. And it's just like,
totally do.
we try, and dude, we're gonna try to even do a little bit of a different format, and you can let me know how you like it here with the next batch of dogs, because we're gonna try to put even more, everything kind of in one big episode kind of thing, and it's gonna be airing on YouTube. And so that's not for sure, but that's what we're trying at. So it's basically our stuff with our dogs, whatever board and trains are coming in, we got them, you see them, their journey is either gonna be 1 or 2 episodes, right? And on top of that, it's the life stuff, like what's Julie doing? She's cooking, and then just kind of like, let's throw it all together. I paint portraits, let's fucking throw it in there. Let's just make something happen, right? And at the same time, so that way we can get the entertainment factor. People want to watch, it's fun to watch, but then you can change the way people view dogs, because that's the real problem.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
That approach.
Trying, dude, and I feel you. I feel you. So.
I think with this last particular one, I just think it was a matter of I should have just done double boss.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have just done it. I don't know why. I was just like, it was just like, I think, I mean, when I like initially like was lighting them up and slip lead, it totally like rocks through it, you know, like they piss and they totally just lose their shit. So I was like, okay, that seemed like it landed. Then, you know, when like a week later, it's like, wow, you're like, I can see you're trying to like get back to being an a-hole reactive dog or like just totally flighty. Then I'm like, fuck, I should have just went for it. I should have just done like double bombs.
Okay.
And just like totally rocked.
This is it. I'm so sorry that I did not get this quicker. I know exactly what you need. The recall that I taught you out the door is perfect, but for this particular dog who has reactivity and you want to stop it, let's save that experience. This is what I do, and I should have told you. I should have thought about this. I save that experience where they get the big light up. So basically, I teach them a little bit about the beep, and once they get it, I give them ultimatum. Right? It was the freedom of the door for them. Which one are you going to listen to, the beep or your freedom? Oh, you're listening to the beep. So we do the beep for the first session until the dog gets it. It means come in my direction, there's praise. Because a lot of times these dogs are nice to you, they're friendly, but they don't give a fuck about you. So you're just teaching them about this, but I'm not heavily punishing them. Just what I need for them to understand the concept. That's it. Once I start seeing a beep and the dog gets the concept, this is the same session. I take this highly reactive dog, and now this is the magic sauce. I'm going to now say, Jules, let a dog out. And here's how I do it. I'm here, my reactive dog is here or behind me, whatever. Sorry, that's hard. Basically, the dog is beside me or behind me or in front of me, however I want to visualize it. I'm letting the dog see the other dog. He goes towards the other dog. I'm waiting for, there's enough distance between me and Riggins who I let out, where this dog gets to go into they start doing the prowl, and then they go. You want to make sure, so once they start in the lunge, guess what happens? Beep. Now I'm asking you to come to me. Or right before that, actually, depending on the dog's knowledge, sometimes they'll think about going, and I'll go beep, and they'll know. That means come back to me. But they're so on Riggins, I let them go. They start going, fucking slam, dude. Like 100 or not 100. Usually I do like 75 because if I need more, I got it. And I'll use that, and then I'll go down, and I'll get the dog to recall back to me. No hang up or anything, nothing. And I'm the safe spot. And it has to be powerful enough. Now, if you mess up and it's not powerful enough, and the dog is still kind of coming towards you, but semi-turning its way back, be ready for that boost to hit him again. And back up, run backwards, just like you need to feel. So he has to come to you. And now that beep is going to go beep, 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 and it ain't going to stop until you get to me. That's how you know. Because they're panicking because they know that beep means there's something coming. So they're just in that mode, and that's what we want. We want them in this mode. They get to me, it goes away. Riggin stays over there, we calm down, we relax, we settle. We let the dog naturally just feel a comfort, relax, and then guess what happens? I release him, let's go, right? And then usually it's just Riggins still, because I want to bring Riggins up over the hill. He sees the dog, he looks at me, right? He sees the dog. Now I'm walking. I just walk, run a long line. I'm not telling the dog anything. If I hit the end of that long line, I'm going to give you a big correction. And we're going to do it again. You're going to come running at me. Or if you decide you're holding still. I'm going that way. The dog's in the opposite direction. If you decide to go in their direction, you're going to get a correction. Maybe not the firmest thing ever, but a correction and a tug. Just so you know, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. And I'm creating the dog to ignore that and take my direction. That's their association with the beep. So now I'm using beep. When I see a dog, I say, here's the ultimatum. If you start triggering, you're going to hear this beep. If you don't get your act together, this is what happens. You know that from day one. And that gives me massive leverage, and I build off from that. That gets me to the heel, that gets me to everything. And then all I have to add in there is teaching the dog to relax and watch the dog go by, showing them, oh, is this dog nervous? Is this why he's doing it? Or is he playful? If the dog's playful and it's like, I want to go see the dog, now we're going to go in the backyard and have a session where I'm going to let Riggins into the yard with you, and you're going to see that I'm not going to let you up on my dog. I'm going to tell you to go, and you're going to learn go today in session 1, right? And then you're going to learn to come up on my dog slowly, and you're going to realize that I can control him and you. Good, that's great. If you're a nervous dog and you're doing it because you want the dog to get away, I'm going to go back to the yard again, let Riggins in, watch you react, and show you that I can send him away, and also tell you I don't like you reacting to things coming into the environment. And so I'm having that conversation, usually day 1, with these dogs who are, I would say, they're an extreme case, but they're not those super dangerous ones. Those ones go put away in a dark corner for a while, and we work a different way. But you know which ones I'm talking about. The classic, just they give you some nip, they come up. It can be a wrangle, but it's over.
Yeah.
I enter I'm learning how to enter the conversation in the relationship, the dynamic of the relationship, what I'm going to need to this dog. And if it's extreme reactivity, I'm teaching you right now, I need you to ignore whatever comes into the environment. Right now it happens to be a dog, it might happen to be a person or whatever, a different dog, I'll cycle the dogs through, and your job is not to come up to us. That's the first thing, just don't, I go big to small. So don't come towards us. I'm not even going to go after whining right now. It's just don't move towards us, and until I say break, and then you can move towards us. And now I'm able to control this pack, and I can work from there and teach this dog. You know, they start to see you differently when you work with them like that, and that really, those experiences make a dog. When you say they're looking at me or they're with me, it's because all of those experiences, and then the camera turns on, and you see a few days later, and you see this dog with me like I've been living on a farm with him for a year, because that's the type of experiences I'm giving the dog before we do any of the command work. Other than the recall, because I'm using that recall, you know?
Yeah.
And stay and things like this, but I'm not using sit down, place, and heel. That recall is getting me everything in the beginning, and then it's just adding a stay and a disagreement sound. I didn't like that, and that means I can correct. And then also good, I like that. So now I'm teaching you how to learn from me. I'm giving you a foundation of how to learn from me before I teach you anything. And we can't do anything if your mind's like that, you know? And so this is the whole game. If you get really good at that's what makes you probably less than 100 people in the world. If you master that, that's the thing, man. I do believe so.
Yeah.
I do believe so.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the verge of, okay, what I'm doing like is really working. Some dogs, it's like, oh, like, yep, that resonated. Like the owners are like, oh, they're so much better, this and that. Some, like, I can tell, yeah, like we kind of had a stressful walk because I was trying to like keep up with him on the e-collar. So I'm like, fuck, is what I'm doing not sitting well enough with them so that when they go home they truly understand, don't lunge at dogs.
Do this. Everything's on the e-collar. You know how I always say that? Everything's on the e-collar?
Yep.
Here's the thing. This is how my wrap around. This is my get around. This is how I get around this problem of average people with average annoying dogs or even really reactive dogs. I can't have it social pressure that holds them together. I use it. I put that in there. But what really happens is when you hear that beep, they know that from that first experience and every experience I give them, that beep means to heal. And that beep also means a big one's coming if your mind isn't right. And so when the owner gets it, doesn't matter who it is, when they hear that beep, it transfers. They're like, that system, it's that system. And they know where to find, the big part of it is them finding that spot, which is home base, and that mind space. And also, we do teach the owners though, if you are struggling, let us know, because we could do some more experiences at your house, such as setting stuff up, and that usually cleans it up like big time, because the dog just needs a little bit of a professional setup. Some of these dogs need that with their owners, and if we do it here and it works, great. But if it goes home and they need it in their own neighborhood, then we'll do that. We offer that. But that's what it's all about. Does the dog respect the e-collar and its system to the fullest? And then also, have we got the owner to be able to, play the part? And so it works as long as you let the dog taste the experience. That beep is there from the beginning. And that social, everything is there. Everything is there. That's their escape of all the consequences, is being in this calm, submissive state of mind, right where they're supposed to be. And that's the beginning of training. So, I mean, if they're having relationship issues though, they're gonna whine forever.
Yep. That's
forever.
That's legit. I have two small guys coming in just for like a week. I think they're actually doing a 2-week refresh. I don't know if they're going on vacation or what. But two like really small, like God, what are they? Like little pug, I don't know, like 20 pounds, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
When they're together in their, I know they live in like a small townhome setting. So like all the townhomes are like really close together. They basically just like walk around in circles. When they're together, I know they're worse. But she's like, yeah, sometimes they still like bark and growl at other dogs. Again, it's like last time they were here for boarding, I didn't see any of that. So I went back to their place puppies again.
That's a great idea. Because it's probably a particular dog that they know about. You know, it's an environmental, and if it continues though, if you get it so that dog won't bark and they can't, it's also relationship.
Yeah.
It's like you need a type, you know.
Yeah, she has. It's a single person, and they have 2 young kids, and I think the young kids, it's part of their chores is to walk the dog. So I know there's probably some shit going missing.
What kind of dog is it then? You said a corgi, pug.
It's like one is like a Chihuahua Jack Russell mix, and then the other one's like a little pug.
They're asking you to perform miracles at this point.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, okay, well, what's my approach going to be with these 2 when they come back? Am I just going to let them hit the end of the leash and then light them up? Or is it just fucking bonk them when they look?
You know what I would do probably if it's all about this. Sounds come out of your mouth at inconvenient times. That's what this game is. So I'm going to focus on you understanding that the sounds cause this. So don't do the sounds. Ever. Don't ever bark again and nobody will mind. And so it would be how do you get that across to a dog that it's the bark and it's silence that I'm looking for. That's the game. And that's what I spend my whole time with, is putting them in situations. This whole thing is about you guys being in different situations and not opening your mouth. Now here's the trick though. I would actually bend the relationship so that I'm fun and playful, let them on the couch and shit. Don't even show them any type of social. Whenever you're correcting on the e-collar, just be like, nope. Like light on your approach. You're just this easygoing guy. And let all the experiences happen. Be like, what happened? Come here, boy, come here. Every time, but don't bark, right? Because the thing is, it can't be social with these guys. They just have to understand when you have this necklace on. If you bark, this happens, so don't bark. And if you keep barking through it, it gets really, really bad. And so, but if you're quiet, you're good, right? And so, and you can even tap the beep on there. You can even let them bark if they're on these walks, specifically in the walks to dogs. But I would definitely try to see, what if you loosen up the structure whenever you're hanging out with these dogs and you just goof with them, and you just let them be part of the family, and then they start barking at the door and shit. That's what I do usually. They usually do start barking at the door. As soon as they realize that you're going to let them get away with stuff, then here it comes. And that way, that allows you to say, yes, good job barking. Now we're going to talk about barking.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not even going to be me who's going to be correcting. Maybe this is times I'll be like, Julie, just tell them no. And like act. Like you're just a normal, knock it off, stop it. No, however somebody would do it. And the dog gets it. And you're like, go. And you just put that experience with the e-collar, that one heavy one was in there, the rest is not heavy, it's just relaxed dog. And then we repeat, and the dog realizes if they don't bark, nobody stops and looks at them and dresses them and then gives them the consequence. And it's the bark that causes it, you know?
What if I'm doing this approach, okay, when you open your mouth, that's when it sucks.
Yeah.
What if it's, you open your mouth, I correct. You open your mouth again.
Yeah.
And again.
That's what's going to happen. So do them one at a time when you first start, like don't put them together. Eventually when when you can tap silently in the collar and you get when they know it's the bark and everything, then you put them together and make sure, because they're going to need to be put together. Yeah, because they'll act differently. But what was the question? I don't want to get off track. Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking shit, do I just put him on his side? If you can't shut up, I'm going to
Well, yeah, you can do that the first time, if he's having trouble. So this is what I do. So the bark back. So it's like a bark collar fight, right? If you see a dog have a bark collar fight, it can be pretty horrible if they can't figure it out. And it's up to the dog's knowledge to figure out it's the noise. The dog doesn't know, right? And you can see the shit going on. But even every dog, a lot of dogs figure it out. A lot of dogs.
Mine hasn't. I tried.
Some don't figure it out though, dude.
Oh my God,
So they really don't. It's so this is what I do. They bark, and then it's tap, right? Actually, I can let you another secret too. And you're gonna love it because the shadow students haven't seen this yet. I do have it's a little bit of a shortcut, and it works most of the time, but not all the time. Especially for dogs who can't figure out the stims, you correcting them, right? So what I'll do is I will, and I'll go tap. So I'll snap at the dog I'll say no, and the dog will look at me. I'll snap at them, they flinch, and I tap the e-collar. So I snap and tap them. And then every time they start to go, I say, shh. And I go, they look at me and they see me snap like that, like at their face, and I tap them. A few times later, they think that tap was me.
Yeah.
They think it was me. Just the same way as like if they're going after a dog and they get corrected, they think it was a dog. If I snap at them with their attention, they have to be looking at you, and I go assertively at them. You see a dog do this even without the e-collar, and then you give the e-collar tap. I've had a large amount of success having a dog realize that that is my form of communication, like this, of punishment. That's my bite. That's how it feels when I bite you. And if you bark back, I'm going to give you a couple of those, and then I'm going to hang you up and put you on your side, right? And calm you down, and I'm going to let you back up, and the next time I need to speak to you, next session or whatever, I'm going to do this again with a tap, and I'm going to see you probably not know what to do, and I'm going to say, that's okay, and I'm going to gesture for you just to relax. So I need to teach you how to get out of it. You need to learn, dog, that if I address you and say I don't like something, if you relax and stop paying attention to the thing, you're done. You're out of it. But I'm going to keep correcting you if you can't do that. And this is a good time to teach the go. Just go. If they get stuck and they're just taking the correction and they're not moving, it's like go. And they learn to go away, and you let them go away. And there is no sit, there is nothing, there's no how far you got to go away. It's just watch from over there. And this is the fundamental stuff where you're breaking through with a dog, that this electronic is me. And so this snap is a thing that I have a lot of success with. But if you don't, it's just simply tap, and they can get the. But I'm adding a. But this is directed at them, the snap, so that you kind of get it like a dog thinks that you maybe nipped them. Yeah, but they have a slip lead too, if I need it.
Yeah. Sometimes if it's like a moment, like a threshold, and it's being pushy, I'll just go, shh.
Yeah, the hand.
I'm like, hey, don't fuck with me.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes, and that energy, okay, right there, that energy that you have become good at putting on, when you put that stim, that's the association you're giving to it. That's why your training is working better than other people's, because you're putting that into the training of what this means. You're not playing games where it's like, sit down and all the stim is just fun, and then you try to, you know what it does. It makes it a game when they go home. This isn't a game, this is a punishing tool, man. If you want to have fun, go play clickers, right? And I'm not saying anything, but it's getting people bit, is what I'm saying. That's what's happening, man. I'm not getting people bit, other than other trainers trying to do my techniques after they come here. Sometimes they do get bit. But I warn them that it's highly risky stuff, so you could get bit. And then some of them do get bit. So it's part of it. I've been bit. So, but anyway, dude, it's getting that dog. And sometimes with a small dog, I'll actually touch their neck with a neck correction, a touch with the 2 fingers, and then tap the collar. Because I'm not afraid of them biting because they're so small. And just to get them to understand that's me, you see them have that shift, and then it's cake from there. You don't get the frustration. All that stuff you're feeling is, I'm also frustrated and confused that I don't understand this fully. So you get that on top of trying to learn sitting down, and it's a fucking mess. So if you separate the two and say, let me teach you about the collar and me and stuff, separate to the commands, you do that first, then you don't have the frustration of them trying to figure this out while learning a command. And you get all this, you know what I mean. You know what you get,
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Brother, we did good, and it's all videotaped, so you can use it if you need it.
Sweet. Awesome. I haven't watched the intake with that one dog that was at your place, yesterday or the day before.
Which one are we thinking?
Sully.
Sully, the one that came for a consult.
Yeah. What's that? Are you gonna work with them?
Oh yeah, they want to work with us, and so basically I told her, and I don't know how much is Julie put on the video, how much was on the video, but I pretty much at the end told her, it comes down to whether or not you're going to be able to control this dog when shit hits the fan, or at will. If you want to, can you control him and have him do whatever you say without any complaint, including calm down and go lay down and mind his own business, right? Can you do that? I wanted to make sure she could do that. And she said basically, I seen her. She was like, I'm okay with that. And I said, it's either you have a moral issue with it or you don't. If you don't, I can help you. If you do, I can't help you, but I can help your dog. And it's time to look at another home. And I say this to these people. Because they had it. You know what happened to these people? They had this dog. They got it in October. A few months later, bit in the face for trying to put a jacket on it. The husband had to get plastic surgery. Why did they get a dog who's in a shelter at the age of 6? How long has it been in there? They don't know. What's the history? They don't know. It's in their living room. It's where their kids are. It's where it's like, it's not the dog's fault. The dog could get put down after this. Of course it could. This is what she's going to do. She's going to put it down if we couldn't help. And I said, of course we can help. But I need to be able to make sure you're willing to step up to control this thing, and this is how we're gonna do it. And I talked about the e-collar, and like, worst case scenario, you got the gun to the head. The dog will listen to you with the necklace on, okay? Like, I have to talk to them like that because you have to, and then I'm nice to them too, but it's like, this is, you understand it, I know you do, human, stop playing with me. If you pay attention, you get this. Can you drive? You understand that system? You can get this. Now, do you have a moral issue with it? That's what we need to identify. The answer was no. She does not have a moral issue. So we are going to take them on, but we're booked out until June. So we're going to, and that's, I mean, we're booked out further than that, way further than that. But we're going to try to sneak her in an opening in June because it's severe, you know, that they're an older couple. She's got what it takes, though. I put her through some stuff. I'm like, tell your dog to go over there and lay down. And I've seen that dog is a biting dog. That dog, it doesn't look it in the video, bro. I'm telling you right now, that is one of those dangerous ones where it's like they don't look like a biting dog, but if you really know what you're looking for, those are the dangerous ones. Because they'll go straight for the face and it'll come out of almost nowhere. But there's these little side fucking glances a dog like that gives you, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta be careful with this dog, because you can underestimate this guy, and he's gonna nab you right in the face.
And you had him, you had the leash for a bit.
At one point, I grabbed it because he was coming up to me to explore in a curious way, but he didn't do anything. It's if you put pressure on him. And I noticed that that's how you get bit by this dog, because it's like, this dog's fine. But if you get close, it happens quick. He feels uncomfortable, and boom. He knows. He's an educated dog that makes a conscious decision to use his teeth to get out of a situation that makes him nervous. That's what he does. It doesn't make him bad. It makes him bad in the sense that he's going to strike humans highly more likely than other dogs. That makes him bad. But is it his fault? No. He simply did not get a fair shake at life, my friend. You know? So we can help, but I will know the liabilities of that dog. I will know, because I will push that dog where he needs to be pushed. Unlike the place that gave him a temperament test. No, they would have found this. I can see it right now that dog will bite me if I go over there and put my hands on him, even if it's in a gentle way, and I just start suggesting that I want to manipulate his body, I'm done. And he's going to overreact and mess my face up. And so, and it's situational too. Like if you groom him, apparently sometimes he's not like that, but there are certain situations. You go to put a jacket on him, things like this. Yep. If he's not in the mood, and it's right at the face. And that's why this dog's dangerous, because he won't do it most of the time, but sometimes if you just push him just right, he'll do it. And I think it's a conscious decision is what I came up with. It's like, is he doing this out of fear? I'm not seeing fear. I'm not seeing terrified dog. I'm seeing slightly concerned and overreacting. You know? And maybe nervous at a point, but you're like slamming a grown adult in the face to get plastic surgery for putting a jacket on you, and nobody knew this. And I know by working with dogs, I can know that. By being with him for a session, I will know that. You know? Because I know how to say, hey, here's what I'm going to teach you. This with a leash means to come this way. Now I'm going to ask you to come with me until it's annoying, and you're going to try to bite me. Because that's what you guys do. Right?
How do you mentally prepare for those? I know it's like I'm having like, okay, this is going to be rough. If I'm trying to like work on a dog being more comfortable, like getting their nails dremelled, it's like, and the owner's like, oh, he'll like attack and all. I'm like, okay, I gotta prepare for this.
Yeah, that
I know
does.
I'm gonna have to light him up or put him on his side.
It's the ritual of creating a follower is what gets you out of this whole mess, my friend. And yes, in that process, we might have the ritual of me submitting you, dog. But I want to have a conversation when I do it, and that's the most important part. So I might not do the first conversation with the actual nail drummers. I might try to do it over something else. Maybe he has an interest in dominating one of my female dogs. Dude, I'm getting into this shit. I'm letting these dogs go up and try to hump my dogs and then interfering like, what are you doing to my daughter? And I'm watching the dogs understand so they understand the conversation, so I'm good. And then when I come in with the e-collar and start showing that it's me and doing my thing, they're getting real quick, okay, this has something to do with him. The context is that he's controlling. It's the dominant thing in the hierarchy. He wants to have first access to everything. So am I going to fight him? I'm going to bluff. And now I'm with a dog where either he's going to, he wants to fight, he wants to, because he needs to know for himself, otherwise the anxiety won't go away, that I am the real deal. He needs to know. It's his job. It's his job. Or he's just bluffing and he's just going to submit. And it's like, depending on the severity of the case. And if I have to bring this, if I know that I have a dog who is a process, I'm not going for that one and done. I'm not looking to get into a fight with him. I'm looking to have these little experiences that I win. And there will be fights, but I'm not looking to do the whole side submission because I know it's too risky for my arms and stuff. I'm just going for the mind, little wins. I get 10 of those, and then one day you come at me, and you got that on your mind, just like UFC fighting. You got that on your mind now, plus I've won all 10, and I'm here, I'm fresh, and you submit finally. And when you submit, you realize that's the answer for all these fights to go away. and I show you my other side. And you can really get, I'm convinced that you can take a wolf from the wild if you get them at the right age, and you can do this. I know you can. They will, just like ducks will follow somebody that imprints on them. This is the stuff that I'm trying to put into the association to my commands fundamentally, and grow from there to just average household stuff. How to group, what happens when people come in the door, stuff like this. And I think that's what's getting that's getting interesting, because we're making big changes. You see the dog change, dude. You see him change, and you're like, wow, that's a different animal now. And the thing is, they get taken away 8 weeks. They don't get to fight over things. They don't get to be put in their place. They're entitled. They don't realize that they're 25 pounds and I'm 150 pounds, and that their judgment is off. They're in reality after this. And it's the most beautiful thing. It puts you in reality. Everybody's there. The camera person's in reality. And there's just this moment that people go their whole lives without experiencing for generations. And I honestly think that's what makes us not have proper perspective. We don't understand, And so anyway, these dogs are alive now, and they realize, okay, I'm in reality, and that's how we start, And eventually we get around to that conversation with every dog, 6 months old or 10 years old. It doesn't matter, because they're dogs. And so that's what it's all about, man. And it's a beautiful thing when a dog gives it to you, when they accept that, okay, I'm going to let humans lead me, and then they just realize how beneficial it is for them, because it is. It's a beautiful complementary relationship, like me and my dog Riggins. Like, I live it every day, and he's great. But he didn't give it to me for free, guys. You know what I mean? Oh, he's a great dog. No, dude, this dog was baring his teeth at me. We were fighting over the girl of the house, the room of the house. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, I'm going to tell Julia to not charge you for whatever we went over, because she knows. She knows it's me.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know. I'll send whatever you want me to. This is, as always, super, super helpful, and helps refresh my perspective and approach, because I get in cruise control every so often, so kind of hitting that reset button.
Hey man, it's changing out there. Dude, these new trainers that are coming along, they're coming along by they're just, every day there's new trainers. And they are, I think, I'm actually becoming hopeful for the first time in a while, because they seem to be very interested in behavior. And I'm like, wow, that's good, because when I got into this game, nobody gives a shit about that, besides the dog whisperers. And and the purely positive, because they were using that part of the science, but everyone else was just old school. Now I see them actually caring about the dog behavior stuff, and I think that's the missing component. And if we can marry the modern day e-collar stuff with the dog behavior, we're on to something, dude. And then on top of that, teaching humans about dogs, we're on to something. So, all right, let's keep up the good fight.
Sweet.
All right, brother.
Thank you so much.
Of course, I'll talk.
Really for me.
I will. I'll talk to you on the next one. It was fun.
Yeah, see ya.